Hey, good morning. I'm Patricia Murphy. It's Monday. This is Seattle Now. This year marks the first Black History Month BlackPast.org has faced without its founder, Dr. Quintard Taylor. The site was created in Seattle almost 20 years ago and continues to preserve and protect Black history. We'll get into how the site is facing both old and new challenges to the legitimacy of Black history in a minute. But first, let's get you caught up. No cash, no Orca card, no problem. Beginning today, you can tap to pay when you board a King County Metro bus or light rail line. Tap your debit or credit card or use a digital wallet like Apple Pay or Google Pay. Transit officials want to simplify payment options for riders as the region prepares for an influx of travelers this summer for the World Cup. One important note, tap to pay not available on the monorail or Washington State ferries. Microsoft employees are back in the office 3 days a week, though not by choice. As of today, the company is requiring employees to be on site for most of the week. The policy applies to workers who live within 50 miles of a Microsoft office, according to GeekWire. The Bellevue Chamber of Commerce warned in its newsletter, "Gird your loins and prepare for a potentially longer commute." And the construction of new jails and detention centers could soon be banned in Seattle, at least temporarily. City Council member Alexis Mercedes Rink has proposed emergency legislation, which would put a moratorium in place for 1 year. The Seattle Times reports the bill doesn't specifically mention immigration, but in a statement about the bill, Mercedes Rink referenced alleged human rights violations at the Northwest Detention Center in Tacoma and wrote, quote, "We do not want this in Seattle." The full City Council will likely vote on the proposal Tuesday afternoon at 2 o'clock. We're back with more headlines on tonight's episode of Seattle Now.
There's an African proverb that says, when an elder dies, a library burns down. But today we are here to say that even though Dr. Taylor has gone to the ancestral realm, his library remains. And we will be the keepers of his library. You can clap for that.
That's Reverend Erica Williams speaking at Dr. Quintard Taylor's celebration of life on February 7th. He died back in September. Dr. Taylor was a legendary historian at the University of Washington, and he did leave behind a library. The website he founded called BlackPast.org. The site is considered the largest online collection of global Black history.
We thank God and our ancestors for BlackPast.org. And the work of Dr. Quintard Taylor Jr. So that's why I can't give up now. That's why I feel like going on now. Because what they want to erase, we are grateful that somebody said, you won't erase it. We'll create a website that'll keep the history alive and well. Y'all can give Dr. Taylor another round of applause.
The service remembered the scholar and the legacy of BlackPast, but it was also largely a call to action, because at this moment, Black history still needs protectors. Already this year, Martin Luther King Jr. Day and Juneteenth are not recognized as national park-free days, unlike last year. Government websites have deleted pages dedicated to Black history. One of the people looking to protect and preserve Black history is BlackPast's executive director, LaNesha McCoy, DeBardelaben. She's here to talk about how things are moving forward at BlackPast without its founder and how they're facing this moment of increasing hostility towards Black history. Really appreciate you coming in, LaNesha.
We're happy to be here.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you. So BlackPast is entering a new era following the passing in September of the site's founder, Dr. Quintard Taylor Jr. Let's talk about his vision for the site.
It goes back to 2004 when he was teaching African American history at the University of Washington. He was teaching both undergrad and grad students. And one of his students said, hey, you teach such powerful content in the classroom. Is there a way that this information can be made accessible to those outside of the classroom? And they thought of the best platform to reach folks would be online. on the internet. And so it was birthed as an idea that started in a classroom with Dr. Taylor and his students. And by February of 2007, it became a live site with originally 100 entries. And it has since grown to nearly 10,000 pages of content nearly 20 years later.
Let's talk a little bit about what's on that site. It is a huge repository of information. Give me a couple of examples of what you can find in there.
Dr. Taylor envisioned this site to be a go-to clearinghouse for all things African American and global Black history, because Black history is everywhere, because Black people are everywhere. And so individuals can find historical information about African American historical facts, but also history of the African diaspora. Folks can find primary source documents like the exact wording of the 1863 Emancipation Proclamation or the 1954 Brown versus Board of Education Supreme Court decree. Folks can find biographical profiles of just about, all African Americans and Africans of historical achievement, because this site is striving to write, preserve, protect, and publish on Black life everywhere.
That's good context about what BlackPast is and how it started almost 20 years ago. But I want to ask you about 2026. What kind of concerns do you have about BlackPast's present and future?
Two things: the attempts at erasure and dismantling of Black history. And that includes book banning. That includes literally dismantling exhibitions and displays and public historic sites.
Physically destroying
American stories that help us all to understand who we are collectively as a people, as a humanity. So those erasures are deeply concerning. At the same time, AI distortions are also deeply concerning. AI is both an opportunity, but it's also a threat, because AI has been producing distortions of Black history that creates confusion, minimizes people's dignity, humanity, and integrity.
That's important for everyone right now, to be a discerning consumer of information. I'd like to know what it's like for you to be responsible for this information at a time when Black history is being actively rewritten.
That is such a good question, Trish, because there's a saying that those who know the past are not surprised by the present. So working in Black historic preservation in this moment is deeply concerning, but it's also not extremely surprising, because we are experiencing what has been the reality of 400 plus years of white supremacist oppression, racism, discrimination, bigotry. And it is happening in our generation in some new ways, but also in some very tried and true ways. But at BlackPast.org, we are committed to being resilient, being resistant, and being committed to preserving these stories.
Could BlackPast be a target? Is there anything you're doing to prepare?
We are, because we are living in an age of cyber attacks, and we are, above all things, a website. We are a digital resource, and cyber attacks are real. So we are fortifying our cybersecurity, our technical infrastructure, and our commitment to ensuring that while these attempts at erasure are happening, folks can always go to and count on BlackPast.org to provide accurate, accessible information on Black history.
BlackPast.org is a 20-year-old website. How are you moving it into the future? Is it still relevant today?
There are two trains of thought. Some people believe we'll get to a point where Black History Month is not needed. Websites like BlackPast.org is no longer needed. Ethnic studies is no longer needed. I don't agree with that sentiment. because we know that when we begin to think like that, these sorts of efforts at minimizing certain stories and marginalizing certain stories and certain experiences become problematic. It becomes problematic because a lot of people think, well, we're all of the human race. We're all Americans. Why do we need these divided stories and these divided histories? That has been the train of thought for 400 plus years. Like, people have always thought that way. And inserting and centralizing Black history has been a fight in and of itself. So the struggle for civil rights has been a reality, but the struggle to teach and to understand the struggle for civil rights has been an equally important effort. And so we realize that they're not divisive. What they do is allow everyone's unique contributions, unique struggles, and unique identities to be honored, to be centered, to be as important as others. And so BlackPast.org will always be relevant, always be needed, and always exist.
Are you still adding to the site?
We are adding daily to the site. History is always happening. History is happening today. We have to record that, preserve that, and publish that tomorrow.
Have you heard from people who are concerned, who want to help you fortify your site and keep BlackPast safe and available?
Yes. BlackPast.org is more than a website. It is a movement of the people, for the people, and by the people. And so people are very interested in supporting BlackPast.org, in protecting it, because BlackPast.org is the protector of Black history. And the protectors need to be protected, especially in this political moment of attack and erasure. And so we have folks who are coming to our side and saying, what can we do? We want to get involved. We want to do what we can to ensure that we are getting the word out about this site and that we're protecting it at the same time.
Are you surprised that people are meeting the moment like this?
I'm not surprised. When we think about the historical trajectory of this country, freedom, justice, truth has always been a collective endeavor. It has never been one organization or one group of people doing it all. It takes all of us. And so as we see folks coming to stand up and speak out against these attacks against history, it is a stance that people have taken ever since there has been racism in this country. People have stood up against it since the beginning. And we continue to do so because it's in our DNA to stand for truth, justice, and equity.
Before I let you go, your job focuses on history, but as you know, we're a daily news show. So what lessons from BlackPast.org can be applied to today? I've heard you say today's events become tomorrow's past.
Absolutely. We're mourning the loss, for instance, of Reverend Jesse Jackson, who was a major civil rights activist. And we're seeing resistance to him being allowed to lie in state in the Capitol. And it is concerning that the fight continues. The struggle for justice and equity and building the beloved community continues. Black history has a role to play in building the beloved community. Black history has a role to play in our sense of togetherness because we are stronger together than divided. There are systems and there are fears that are striving to divide us and keep us fearful of each other and ignorant of each other. And as we truly understand Black history, we are able to really move together to become that more perfect union. This is also the 250th anniversary of the signing of the Declaration of Independence. We are still striving to become that more perfect union. History has a role to play. The truthful, factual, sometimes very ugly, very painful stories of history are necessary for us to understand, to remember, to overcome, and to correct.
BlackPast Executive Director LaNesha McCoy, DeBardelaben, thanks for coming in and thanks for your work.
Thank you. It's been a delight to be here with you.
Appreciate you listening to Seattle Now, and thank you to our generous donors for your financial support. Show us some love. Take a minute to rate and review Seattle Now on your favorite podcast app. Today's episode was produced by Brooklyn Jamerson Flowers and Anna Marie Yanni. It was edited by Caroline Chamberlain Gomez. Our production team also includes Vaughn Jones, Andy Hurst, and Paige Browning. Greg Kramer was our theme music. Seattle Now and KUOW Public Radio are members of the NPR network. I'm Patricia Murphy. We're back tonight with Evening Headlines.